Hello, faithful. My name is James, bringing you Niners Central. Here to talk about potential defensive coordinators and overall the performance of the offense. I already covered the defense in the halftime show when we were in the divisional round, so let's get right into it, guys. I know I said already that Pete Carroll could be a potential outside hire, but the name that we should all be looking for at this current time is probably Gus Bradley, the assistant head coach. I have a good feeling that he might be the one that they're going to hire, and they might have already brought him in simply to replace Robert Saleh at some point or to take on that role. I do have a feeling like he would be a good fit. He already runs a 4-3 wide 9, so that would be a good fit for this defense. He wouldn't have much change, and he is the founder of this particular defense that Robert Saleh does use. So I know Pete Carroll runs the same defense, but I figure he may only come up if Gus Bradley doesn't take the job, which I don't see why he wouldn't. And I think Pete Carroll probably wants to be a head coach anyway. But that would depend on whether teams even want him as a head coach. So, as for others, Raheem Morris is somebody else we could also be looking for. I know he uses a multi-front defense, so 4-3, 3-4, likes to switch between the two, and he likes to mess with quarterbacks' pre-snap reads, which might be pretty good for our defense, but I don't think that they're going to go in that direction. Just me personally, I know there are some hosts out there who do shows that they want Raheem Morris. I think the realistic view is probably Gus Bradley. As for the 49ers offense, it was abysmal. The offensive line, it needs to get fixed. As Tim Kawakami, Matt Mayoko, Dave Lombardi, all the sports writers are saying, and people on Twitter, like, you can't continue to kick this can down the road and hope that what you have on the team is going to be able to cut it moving forward. I think offensively this team needs to be built in a different manner. Defensively, I think we just need a few pieces, and defensive tackles that we have, I think, are good rotational pieces, but they're not full-time starter pieces. I wouldn't place them as full-time starters. What you need is run stuffers, like high-talent run stuffers. You don't need these 5th or 6th round or even 4th rounders. I mean, the ones that we got now, probably drafted around those times, but I don't really see them as having high upside outside of a rotational piece. There's a lot of defensive tackles that are going in the 4th round that have way more upside than the defensive tackles that we have now. And we need defensive tackles that are going to stuff the run. They're going to be taking on double teams. I have already done a mock draft. I will get that up as soon as I can. And in my mock draft, I did do one where I did no trades at all. Just rejected all the trades and just went with the 5 picks, the 5 rounds that we were in, the 7 picks that we have. And then I did another one where I traded our 3rd round pick for 2 4th rounders. And I think that was a pretty good trade, and it could happen. At least if it were me, I would definitely trade that 3rd rounder for 2 4th round picks. I'm going to get back to the offense because that's probably where we need to fix things. And right now, the interior offensive line, it needs to get fixed. You can't keep moving forward with Jake Brendel at center anymore. I'm sorry, but at 6'4"? I think he's 6'4", 299 pounds. At 6'4", you should be far heavier than what you're at. And I don't care if you're freaking moving quick. At 33 years old and playing football for as long as he's been playing, there's no upside for you at that point. You don't have the weight to be able to maintain position. You don't have functional strength. Hell, even at this point, his particular speed and his ability to get to a position to run block in Kyle Shanahan's system is virtually gone. I'm going to throw a name out there that I have been looking at, and his name is Logan Jones. He's shorter, but heavier a little bit. I think about 3 pounds, 302 pounds. But when you're talking about moving from 6'4" to about 6 feet, around 6 feet, 6'1", that 302 pounds goes from you looking lean to you looking kind of chunky. And he's got the build to do it. He's got the lower center of gravity to do it. And you could definitely get him in the 4th round. And I think he would be perfect for Shanahan's system. He's a good run blocker. He has sub 30-inch arms, which I know a lot of freaking scouts are kind of giving him crap for that. But to be honest with you, longer arms doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be a good center. It does mean that you'll grab the opponent first, but Logan Jones was a defensive tackle before he was a center. And he was also, in college, ranked one of the best centers last year. So, definitely somebody we need to look at in the draft. I'm hoping they do go for him. His arms are kind of an issue, but at the same time, if he gets his hands on you, he's going to be able to have a lower center of gravity. His hands will be able to get on you, and even if you have longer arms, he's going to be able to maintain control of a defensive tackle. He has a 706-pound squat, which is astronomically freaking high. I weightlift at least 4 to 5 times a day, and very rarely do I see anyone squatting anywhere near that. So I think Logan Jones might be a good fix for our center problem. And we do need a guard. At some point in time, you need to look and try to kind of get somebody to replace Trent Williams. Not now, because he's not leaving until his contract is up or he's ready to go. But we do need to have somebody on the books ready to take over, and we can draft a left guard going into this next draft. And my shift in terms of offensive linemen is moving from dudes who can move quick and are lightweight to guys who can move quick but have weight. Because what I saw going into that Seattle game was, watching the game, we got bullied. Our offensive line got manhandled. Our offense got manhandled completely at the line of scrimmage. Our receivers, we got manhandled. That's not if we get Nick Bosa back and Michael Williams back and Fred Warner back and the depth pieces that we were missing for that game, things could be different. We got our asses kicked 41-6. That's not a missing starter problem. That's a talent problem. This right now, the issue is talent. We don't have enough high ceiling players in terms of talent on this team. And we're relying way too much on Nick Bosa, on our stars like Kittle, Fred Warner, and potentially Michael Williams once he's back, like CMC, Juice. You can't keep relying on just a handful of superstars to keep this team going forward. You need to build this team through the draft and draft high talent, high ceiling level talent players. What we've been getting the last few years is not cutting it. Like the Rams and the Seahawks, they've passed us. They've built their teams in a way to beat specifically how Shanahan builds his teams. They manhandle our offense. The receivers are too slow to break away from defensive backs off the line of scrimmage, and they're not big enough to be able to out manhandle somebody when they're in a fight for a ball. So at this point, the receivers we got don't even have any upside, and you're losing Juwan Jennings, who is a big-bodied receiver, not exactly the fastest, but still is a big-bodied receiver, but you're losing him in the freaking free agency, and you're not going to pay him what he's asking for. Like, realistically, they're not going to pay him that. I wouldn't, no matter how good he is. Like, I'm not making that mistake again. I know I'm probably going to get crap from fans in the comment section for that, but at 15 to 20 million, no. We just got rid of Ayuk at 30 million a year. Not signing Juwan Jennings to a massive contract. No. Now, there are receivers in the draft that we can get. One in particular, which I'm not going to say his name yet because I want to save that for another episode. But I will give you a hint. He's 6'5", 200 pounds. That's all I'll say. I'll save that for like a short, or just like when I do my breakdown of the players that I think the Niners should draft. Granted, I know I get told a lot that Kyle doesn't think like I do. Yeah, I know that. I get that. I have way more goddamn common sense than freaking Kyle Shanahan at this point. I think we all do. Kyle's going to have to get out of his own way. And I said this in the last episode when we were watching the divisional game against the Seahawks. I said this before the game. He has to get out of his own way. And now it's not about play calling. It's about how he builds this team. Because something needs to change. Or the Boo Birds in the stadium are going to be filling that stadium, and Kyle's not going to like it. I think realistically fans are only going to have so much patience for him before they turn on him and start booing and calling for him to be fired. And right now I'd probably say like 30% of the fan base is probably calling for him to be fired, and that's just simply because they don't like him and he hasn't won a damn Super Bowl yet. But the offensive line is definitely one. Our receivers, that's another thing. We need bigger receivers. I don't necessarily think we need faster receivers. I know some people will disagree, and I'll give them my answer as to why. I think we need a bigger bodied receiver. Somebody who can go up, make the jump ball catches. Somebody who is considered a threat. Whether he is on the field or off of it, teams have to look at him no matter what. They have to plan for him. He's a big-bodied receiver. Not really a big-bodied receiver. He's a tall receiver. But in terms of how much of a threat a receiver like that could be, it's huge. Think of Calvin Johnson. The dude was 6'5", over 200 pounds. You were double covering him no matter what, which always left somebody within the Detroit's offense on single coverage. Now, if you had a receiver like that on the field who can also block, is not shy about blocking, and can block, the safety, there is going to have to be a safety there. There's going to have to be a safety watching on him. They're going to have to double cover a receiver like that. And what that does is that allows Pearsall to get open, it allows Kittle to get open, it allows the other receivers on the team to be in single coverage. Because now you have the defense's secondary shifting towards that one receiver. Because if you leave him on a DB, and I think the tallest DB that you're probably going to see is maybe 6'1", and the average being shorter than that. I'm taking the dude that's 6'5" over a dude who's 5'9" any day of the week. You're not leaving a receiver like that uncovered, undouble covered for sure. And teams have to account for somebody like that. And there is a receiver, actually two of them. One is 6'4" and the other one is 6'5". Two of them that could potentially be in the offense. And it would be a break from the way Shanahan has drafted receivers and the way he sees what kind of receivers he wants. And I'm hoping that when Kyle and John are drafting this year, they look at that Seahawks game and that game is a wake-up call for them. Because something has to change. You've made it to 2 Super Bowls and lost. You've made it to, I think, 3 or 4 NFC Championship games. You won 2 and lost the other 3, or lost the other 2. Like, it's been playoffs or bust for us, like Super Bowl or bust, and you've just not made it over that hump. And like, something has to change, because you can't keep just beating your head against the wall and hoping that, eventually you're gonna freaking break through. The old saying, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, hoping for a different result. And that's pretty much what Kyle's been doing since 2019. He's been banging his head up against the wall, just boom, boom. And it's like, the rest of us are watching and we're like, okay, this is our year. And then he bangs his head up against the wall and then nothing happens and he loses. Same damn result. This time we got our ass kicked, and I think this is the worst defeat the 49ers have had, if I'm correct, since 1987 in the playoffs. So this is actually the worst defeat Kyle suffered while he's been with the 49ers. Like, screw him having the lead. He didn't even have a lead to blow away this time. They literally, it was like having an executioner. They just put the guillotine out there, put his head under it, and whoosh, that's it. Sorry for the whole bluntness on that. I don't care. But the Seahawks just demolished. They just executed the Niners, placed the body on a stretcher, and then wheeled them out of Lumen Stadium. So this year, they have to fix the problem. They have the cap space. I don't think that they're going to sit there and try to blow all of the cap space away, because you have to pay Purdy at some point. He's going to have a really high price tag. And I'm pretty sure it's around 2028. So whoever we sign, it's probably going to have to be front loaded from this year into 2027. I know we get a lot of dead cap off of our books this year already, but we still got some on there. And Ayuk is going to chew up about $26 million, around 26 or 27 million in just dead cap. Once we release him, on the other hand, because he violated the contract, the team, if they pursue that, which I think they will, they'll be off the books for having to pay him anything more on that contract. So we could get roughly 80 plus million back. It's not going to all be in 1 year. It's going to be spread out throughout the years he had on his contract, but I think that would help out, and I do think they can restructure several players. Fred Warner being one. I think he still has like 3 void years on his contract. I'd have to double check on over the cap. And George Kittle can also be restructured. He's got several void years on there that have nothing on it. Again, I'd have to double check to make sure. I looked at it the other day, but I just want to be 100% sure, and I can get back to you guys on that. But there are 2 players that you could restructure, and just for this year alone, with what we're getting back from Ayuk and restructures, we could probably push like somewhere in and around 50 million plus the 25, maybe 25 million, I think, that we may increase this year is what they're expecting. So, like, another thing that I think they need to also start doing with the offensive line is just, it's not just so much as the players they're drafting, but the type of player they're drafting, and they need to get these bigger bodied offensive linemen, because you need to create the holes for CMC to run through, for Brian Robinson to run through. You need to have space for them to run around. If we have Jake Brendel on this goddamn team again, I'm going to pull my freaking hair out at this point, because I'm losing my patience with this dude. And I think we need to definitely re-sign Tonjes. Tonjes is a piece that I think we should re-sign. I do think we need to draft a tight end this year as well. And for the draft this year, I do think that this draft here, even though we don't have a whole lot of picks, we have quite a few 4th-round picks, and we could turn a 3rd-round pick into more 4th-round picks, and we've had quite a bit of success in the 4th round. So this draft could potentially be a good one. I think that going into this draft, I think we need to draft a defensive tackle. I'm staying away from the receivers in the first round. There's a receiver that I would hope that they draft in the 2nd round. I think he's going to go like late 1st, early 2nd. Hope that they decide to pick one up there. But like outside of that, like, you know, the receiving core was completely blanketed. They had 0 answers for the Seahawks defense, and it was really freaking depressing just watching the performance. Like, you could tell they were fighting. They were fighting as hard as they could. It's just, when you are not just out schemed, but the opposing team just has more talented players. No matter what you do, at that point, you're just in quicksand. You're sinking quick. You can either sink quick or you can sink slow. And that's what the Niners were in. They weren't going to come back in that game, in all honesty. I was hoping they would, but after halftime, and you see that 3rd quarter going in, and you're just like, not like by with 6 minutes left in the 3rd quarter, I told my wife, like, we were done. They're not going to win. I'm an honest person. I'm never going to sit there and tell you, yeah, I hope we lead a comeback, and I'm going to hold out to that until like 6 minutes left in the 4th quarter. No. I will tell you by halftime if I think we are going to win it or if I think we are going to lose it. No matter how much I love my Niners, and I've been watching them my entire life, there are points where it's like, dude, we weren't just out schemed. They had more talented players. And in the free agency this year, we are going to have to not just build to have a better defense. But they're going to have to revamp the entire offense. Because 2023 is gone. That offense is gone. You don't have that freaking loser Ayuk, and don't even, like, that dude needs to kick freaking rocks, because I don't know what the hell is going on with him. Like, fucking hated his guts at this point. Like, that dude has left his damn team, and as you can see right here, Marines don't leave our brothers behind. And what he did, that's not cool. Not my favorite player right now. No. I don't even hope that he gets signed by another team. I hope that, for the most part, his career is done. I hope he has a wonderful life with his family, but outside of that, stay the hell away from the NFL. Again, with that take, you can either like it or dislike it. It's up to you. I know some will agree, some won't. But I mean, it'd be easier if I was in the Bay. I'm from the Bay Area, but I don't live in the Bay Area. I live in Spokane, so I have to deal with freaking Seahawks fans. So one of the vendors that comes in at my job, haven't seen him yet, so hopefully I don't. I don't want to hear his freaking, hey man, what's going on with them Niners? No, I don't want to hear any of that crap. So I do think that CMC moving forward as well, they need to drop his usage. Another one that I actually would like to see is Isaac Guerendo. I know freaking Larry Kruger's not high on him. He never has been. And John Chapman, I think, has not been pretty high on him either. I am, because I see the upside that he has. At this point, when you say he has like a ball security issue, okay. Freaking goddamn CMC fumbled the ball in the damn Super Bowl and then bobbled a freaking catch and handed that ball over to the Seahawks. So, just saying, at least Isaac Guerendo, when he gets the ball and finds a damn hole, will break that bitch for at least 20, 30, 40 yards. I mean, somebody needs to tell him to stop sliding, but, freaking run it into the damn end zone. He's got the breakaway speed. That's what you need. You need a running back with breakaway speed, and CMC doesn't have that. I don't think he really did, but, I think his usage needs to decrease. We need to start using other running backs and need to start putting them in. I get it. Kyle Shanahan says, you got to be able to block. And he doesn't use them if he can't block. Well, dude, you can either continue losing freaking games, or you can place your goddamn running back in there who is not always the best at freaking run blocking, but can get you the freaking goddamn explosive plays you need to win games. Because at this point, I would much prefer them to winning games and having explosive plays on the damn field outside of watching players that could be playing right now and instead they're freaking benched. Jake Brendel being one that should be benched and can't be benched. Because I don't know what kind of freaking goddamn magic spell he's got on Shanahan. Because at this point, that dude's probably like freaking Harry Potter. He's just casting spells on freaking everyone on the team. I'm good. No, you suck. You are the worst center in the NFL. Hell, there's a backup that's better than you. Like, Jake Brendel needs to kick rocks. I know he's got 1 year left on his damn freaking contract, but dude needs to go. Like, kick that dude to the curb and let him retire and throw his damn jersey away, burn it, burn the number, and don't ever use that number again. So, as you can tell, I'm a bit frustrated. this whole thing this year was an up and down ride, and I love the fact that the Niners, they had a lot of fight in them. They did. And Kyle, again, and I'm going to reiterate this one, Kyle needs to look at himself, and he needs to see that the problem is not the damn teams he's facing, it's how he's building his teams, because that's how teams are beating him. Kyle's play calling, it got better this year. I will honestly say that it got better. We saw a lot more from Kyle that we hadn't seen in previous years, and I liked it. Airing the ball out, I loved watching that. And Mac Jones, he did freaking wonderful. I didn't exactly like all the takes of, well, there's a quarterback controversy, and no. Okay, Larry Krueger, there was never a goddamn controversy. Maybe in your fantasy land, maybe in your damn dreams, wherever the hell that is, but there was never a damn controversy. Outside of the one that Grant Cohn and Krueger was making. I don't mind watching them every now and then. Not Grant Cohn, screw him. I don't like him either. But Larry Krueger, I don't mind watching him from time to time. Sometimes he has good takes, other times he doesn't. But when it came to the Mac Jones and Brock thing, I was like, dude, no. There's no there's no controversy here. So, do I think they trade Mac Jones? I don't know. To be honest with you, I've been hearing some of that, but if I were them, I would keep Mac. I know some are going to say trade him. If the pick is, like, if the amount that we get back for him is right, like we get a decent compensation for him, then hell yeah. I will tell you, like, outright, yeah, trade him. Let him go. If we get the right compensation for him, I will immediately say, let him go. We can pick somebody else up. At this point, there's reclamation projects all galore in free agency. You can find somebody and revive their career. Maybe we can turn that into some draft picks again, too. And well, I think that's all I got for you guys today. I'm gonna get some more videos going up talking about the players that I have in mind that I think they might go for, and I'll get all that stuff posted up. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. I really like seeing all the comments. I don't care if you're a 49er fan or a Seahawks fan or a Rams fan. Go ahead and comment. I'll shoot the shit with you guys in the comment section. I love talking football because God knows my wife is tired of hearing about it. She just started getting into football, and I talk about football a lot, so she can only tolerate that so much. So thank you guys for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Especially comment, because that helps out with the freaking algorithm in 2026. Take care.